In this lesson, we'll begin animating the game boss. Now, before we set any keyframes, we should think about what type of personality this creature should have. So this is where we go in and study reference. I kind of studied crabs and elephants, horses, things like that, because this creature is a bit of all of those combined. So once we have that, we can then confidently start to animate using that reference nearby. We can create little sketches if we'd like, little thumbnails of poses that we'd like to capture. We should also get information from our art director on, again, what should be the personality of this terrifying creature. All right, cool. Next, what we could do is go ahead and take a look at our time preferences. I'm using NTSC, 30 frames per second. So we could always, let's say, right-click on our key mode toggle, or we can left-click on our time configuration panel to go ahead and open it up. You can see here, it is set to NTSC. So everything else is good to go. We can go ahead and click on OK. I like to block in animation first just to rough in ideas without the distraction of smooth interpolation. And then when we're ready to finalize things, we can go ahead and set our tangents to smooth. So let's go ahead and go to our default in and out tangent menu. Let's go ahead and set this to stepped. All right, sweet. Now, very important, on frame 0, this is where we capture our skin pose so that when we're using, let's say, Unity, we can go ahead and bring this creature in and we have a point of reference where the creature's starting point should always be. We will be animating our global node, and what's cool is that when we work with the apply root option in Unity, it's smart enough to know that the global control, even though it gets offset, it should always be at this origin point. So when we go ahead and transition back to another animation, back to this position here, it all looks seamless. So when you get into the Unity portion of this course, that will come to light and that will truly make sense to you, and it will also show you how advanced Unity truly is. I'll go ahead and highlight all of the controls here, and we'll go ahead and turn on auto key so we can speed up the time it takes to create animation. And on frame 0, let's go ahead and create a keyframe. We'll head over to key filters and make sure that we have rotation, position, and custom parameters checked. Let's make sure only these three are checked so we're not adding any keys when we only need those sets of keys and nothing more. All right, so I'll go ahead and create a key on our initial frame 0. And now let's go ahead and hold down Control-Alt, and we'll drag with our left mouse button over to our left to get rid of frame 0, so we're just focused on frame 1. When we're ready to bake the animation out and export it, we'll go ahead and bring frame 0 back. Great. I'll also start to adjust the end segment, holding down Control-Alt, and we'll drag with our right mouse button until we have about 200 frames visible. Now this first section we're animating, it may not be about 200 frames or so, but we have enough room to work with so we could start to play around with our timing and things like that. All right, so let's say we go ahead and get started here. So what we're animating first is the anticipation to the beast's attack. So he's going to kind of move back a bit, and then he's going to lift himself up for a roar. And then the last animation we'll work on will be his fall. So after he gets hit a few times, then he'll go ahead and fall to the floor. So we're going to work on those two just to give you an idea as to how to approach animating so that you can go ahead and bring all of this information into Unity. So let's go ahead and start to block in our idea. All right, so first things first, we're going to have him kind of start moving back. So what I like to do is animate everything else except for the global control, just waiting till the end to move that after we've locked in our idea, and then we could start to translate that back and start to fix the placement of the legs. So let's say on frame 1, we'll go ahead and grab our rotate tool. We'll make sure it's set to gimbal mode so we always have an idea of the true orientation of our control object, and we'll go ahead and start rotating the creature back. We'll also go ahead and translate him back a bit in the Z and Y plane. Not going to move in the X-axis unless we absolutely need to. There's no need to slide him side to side unless he's going into, let's say, his fall. All right, great. So from here, we'll go ahead and grab the back and thorax controls. We'll go ahead and start rotating those down. So as he's rotating back with his root, we want a bit of follow through and drag. So we'll go ahead and rotate those forward a bit. We'll now go ahead and grab his neck and head controls. We'll go ahead and do the same thing, just kind of rotate those down. Great. All right, so next, we'll go ahead and take his arms and we'll start to pose those out. So let's go ahead and drag one up and back, and we'll go ahead and rotate the wrists back. And then the other one, we'll kind of do the same thing, but we'll have that kind of drag. So we'll have that brought forward a bit more. Great. And we'll go ahead and rotate the wrists forward a bit as well. All right, sweet. I'm not concerned with the gaster, not just yet. We're just focused on the main body at this point. What we do want to do is focus on the legs. So since he's kind of moving back, we need to go ahead and pose him in a way that kind of reflects that movement. So we can have him prepared to lift his leg so he can step back. So I'll go ahead and take the front right leg here and just kind of lift that up a bit. We could also make sure that we take the knee control here and bring that up so that it doesn't cause the leg to flip. All right, sweet. So our pose is truly coming together. And since we have frame 1 blocked in, we can then go ahead and move to frame 10. Now I'm just posing this every 10 frames, and then we'll adjust our timing as needed afterwards. We're just getting our idea down. So now, let's go ahead and have him fall down as he's now pushed himself back. So we'll go ahead and rotate the center of gravity down, and we'll have him translate down into a down position. We could also make sure that the arms plant. So I'll go ahead and grab both control objects. Let's go ahead and Alt-right click and use transform to 0 to kind of bring them back. So when we go ahead and scrub through, here's what we end up with. Great, now I want this to truly feel like a down position. So let's say we go ahead and do this. Back on frame 10, we'll grab our back control and we'll go ahead and rotate that down to add an arch to the back. But now for the neck control, we'll go ahead and rotate that up for a bit of a delay or drag, and we'll do the same thing for the head control. Just rotate that back just slightly. Great. Let's go ahead and take the thorax control, and on frame 10, again, we'll just go ahead and kind of rotate that back a bit. Great, so it's now starting to truly feel like a down position. We can go ahead and take our front leg that we've lifted up here on the right side. Let's go ahead and drop that. We'll go ahead and Alt-right click and use transform to 0 to bring that down. And then we'll go ahead and take the rear leg, and let's go ahead and lift that up. Make sure to do that on frame 10. Great. Let's now go to frame 1, and we'll lock down its position here. So we have a pose right here on this first frame of the sequence. Sweet. And if you would like, you could actually go to your selection set, and on frame 1, you can basically go ahead and lock down a keyframe there, just so you have a pose. Now you can see here that one of our keys are slightly off from frame 10. No worries. If we were to go back to our selection set, we can simply go ahead and grab that key that's off of that frame and just drag it back there. And it will override what we had on frame 10. All right, sweet. So there is our down position. We should also go ahead and take the leg on the opposite side at the front, and on frame 10 we'll go ahead and have that slide forward. Again, he's starting to push himself back. All right, sweet. So we have a few poses blocked in right now. I think this would be a good point to stop the lesson. So in the following lesson, we'll continue our blocking pass.